Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. Well, have you realized snowfall, which is an essential characteristic of the winter season in the Himalayan states of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal as well as Uttarakhand, this phenomenon is absent this year. Even if it is happening in some states right now, the average of snowfall this year pales in comparison to the historical average. So what is the reason behind the snowless winter that we are witnessing this year? This is what we are going to discuss in our today's video. Now, before we move forward, you need to understand the notes which I will be using in our today's session. In case if you want to download them, you can go to this particular Telegram channel, which name is ETS Live. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. So let us start our today's discussion by understanding what is exactly happening in the winter of the year 2026. Now, you have to realize in the months of December and January, usually the snowfall is a byproduct of rainfall. So let us understand how much rainfall has the Himalayan states got in this past few months. Now in the months of December and January, Uttarakhand witnessed no rainfall at all. Himachal Pradesh at least witnessed some amount of rainfall, but you will be surprised to know that the amount of rainfall witnessed in Himachal Pradesh this year was the 6th lowest in the past 125 years. As far as the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, it witnessed some amount of snowfall, but it was very less, which happened in the month of January. So as a result, because of this less rainfall, the amount of snowfall in the Himalayan states haven't been adequate. That is why I'm calling it as a snowless mountain peak this winter. Now, because of this less than average snowfall, we have witnessed there is a sense of unpredictability, whether this pattern would continue in the future or this is just an aberration in the pattern. Right, so let us just get into straight away why this rainfall matters so much, not just for the Himalayan states but for the entire northwestern part of the country. You need to understand this season, that is the winter season, actually is the season for rabi crops, right? So to sustain rabi crops like wheat, like mustard, like gram, you need rainfall which provides irrigation to these crops. Also, rainfall happens or it helps in maintaining the soil moisture, which is very essential to the growth of rabi crops. So the output or the yield of rabi crops are directly proportional to the amount of rainfall. The adequate amount of rainfall will ensure good yields of the rabi season, whereas if the rainfall is not adequate, it's subpar, it will lead to lesser amount of yield, which obviously would create food security issues. Similarly, the recharge of ground aquifers is very important as far as water security of the Himalayan states is concerned. So if the rainfall is not adequate, the groundwater won't be recharged, and hence in the summer months there would be problems related to water stress. Similarly, maintenance of snow in the higher reaches of Himalaya is good for tourism obviously, but it also helps in supplying of water to the perennial Himalayan rivers. As you can understand, perennial Himalayan rivers like Yamuna, like Ganga, they are fed by the snow which are present in the glaciers of upper reaches of Himalayas. So if there is less snowfall, it would create conditions of fast melting of snow, and it would also provide less water to the river flows, which is usually very important for the waters from the perennial rivers of Himalaya. Similarly, adequate amount of rainfall also ensures that the forest floor remains moist, and if the moisture levels of forest floor is not adequate, it creates problems which might lead to fires in the forest. So this is why, from economic reasons, from geographical reasons, and also from ecological reasons, rainfall in the winter season is very essential. And when rainfall is not adequate, it can create n number of problems which I've just enumerated. Now, what you need to understand, the rainfall which is provided in the winter season is very different from the rainfall which is available in India during the monsoon season. In monsoon season, which starts usually at the month of May and June, it is because of the southwest monsoon. Whereas the monsoon witnessed in winter season in the states of northeast as well as Tamil Nadu, that is through northeastern monsoon. But the monsoon which we are witnessing, or the rainfall which we are witnessing in the winter months in the northern part of the country, that happens because of the weather phenomena called as western disturbances. Western disturbances, it originates usually from the Mediterranean and West Asian region, and it gradually moves eastwards towards the Indian subcontinent. And when it enters into the subcontinent, it interacts with Arabian Sea moisture inflow and the moisture inflow simultaneously from the Bay of Bengal region. So this moisture from both of the seas near to the west and east coast of India, it interacts with the eastward moving western disturbances, and it creates conditions which results into wind confluence over the Himalayas. And this wind confluence over the Himalayas is what results into rainfall and snowfall in the northwest part of the country. And the impact of this rainfall is huge on the north part of the country, because it is the primary source of winter rain and snow for the North India, as well as it caters to the water requirements of the agriculture, which is practiced in the grain belt of India, that is the northwest part of the country. Understood? So this is why western disturbances are very important for rainfall in India. Now, what you need to understand, it is not the less amount of western disturbances that has created a problem, because in this year, India witnessed 8 western disturbances in the month of December as against the normal of 6 western disturbances. Yet, you'll realize that the rainfall is negligible. So, what is causing this not so legible rainfall? It is the weak and ineffectiveness of the western disturbances. Now, if you realize the western disturbances that has come to India this year, it already has low moisture, and because of low moisture, the vertical lift, which is very essential for formation of clouds, has been poor, and that is why the clouds have failed to grow when it comes to water retention capacity. Similarly, the western disturbances, they have not stayed for a long period of time over an area, therefore they have not created an rainfall, and whatever western disturbances or the cloud formation actually happened, it moved northwards to the higher latitude region, and that is why some amount of rainfall, not adequate but some amount of rainfall, actually was witnessed in Kashmir and the upper reaches of Himachal Pradesh, whereas it missed altogether the state of Uttarakhand, which is why there was no rainfall in the state of Uttarakhand. Now, what you have to understand is the consequences of the snowless winter. First consequence is the low snow persistence. Now, what is snow persistence? Snow persistence is the availability of snow after the rainfall for a considerable period of time on the surface of the earth, right? So low snow persistence means the snow which is happening, it is melting away quickly. Now, why it is melting away quickly? First of all, the amount of snowfall has been less. Similarly, because of less snowfall, the daytime temperatures are on the higher side this winter, and that is why the maximum and minimum difference, called as the diurnal temperatures, the variation is quite huge. And because of this huge variation, because of the higher daytime temperatures, the snow is melting quickly even if the nights are unusually cold. Now, this also creates some risks for the agriculture. I told you, because of less rainfall, because of less snowfall, you have to understand the moisture in the soil, which is very essential for the growth and development of the crops, have reduced, and this invariably affects the rabi crops like wheat, mustard and black gram. Gram is very essential for India because black gram constitutes about 40% of total pulse production in India. Similarly, less rainfall would mean that irrigation in the north part of the country would have to depend more on irrigation, and it would also increase the vulnerability if the heat stress happens in February and March. If you can remember, in 2022, because of the heat stress which came early in the months of March, it led to decline in the yields of wheat. So this might happen this year because of the less rainfall which we have witnessed in the northern part of the country. Similarly, the water security of hill stations are tied to the amount of rainfall. I told you, rainfall helps in groundwater aquifers recharge. So if this groundwater aquifers recharge does not happen, it reduces the spring flows, and it also has a long-term impact on the availability of drinking water and potable water in the Himalayan states. Also, the absence of moisture from the forest floor creates conditions of dry forest floors and low humidity, which are the exact conditions required for forest fires to develop and propagate. And therefore, forest fires have been reported in Nanda Devi National Park and Valley of Flowers National Park, which are located in the states of Uttarakhand as well as Himachal Pradesh naturally. Now, what you have to understand, the most important ecological risk is because of the melting of glaciers. Now, because of higher daytime temperatures, there have been conditions where early seasonal melting of ice has happened, and this has created conditions for formation of ploglacial and supraglacial lakes. Now, glaciers are basically blocks of ice which has formated, right? Now, if the glacier melts in the either side of the glacier, this lake which is formed because of the melting on the sidewards of the glacier is called as proglacial lake, and if the melting happens on the top region of the glacier, this is called as supraglacial lake. So anyway, formation of a glacier is a byproduct of early melting of the ice, and these glaciers are basically damped by the formations known as moraines, right? And if moraines break, which usually happens, it would create condition of glacial lake outburst flows. So if the ice is melting quickly, you need to understand proglacial and supraglacial lakes would form, and these glacial lakes are damped by moraines, and if these dams break, it creates conditions of glacial lake outburst floods. That is why early melting of ice is threatening to both mountain ecosystems and downstream populations, right? So this is a condition which might lead to the GLOF, that is the glacial lake outburst floods, where the melting of ice, which leads to creation of supranational floods, it can create conditions of melting of ice. Understood? So this is why early melting of glacier is dangerous. It might create ecological risk, it might create agricultural risk, and it might also add to the water stress which happens during the summer months in the Himalayan states, right? So this is the end of our today's discussion. We have a question that appeared in the prelims in 2013. Before that, we have started to take admissions in resolution batches. Resolution batches, the morning January batch would start from 27th of December, and you can still take admissions to these batches. If you use the code ATS Live, you'll get maximum discounts on all the courses. So resolution batch comes with many benefits. First of all, you get live classes for all the subjects, and in case if you miss live classes, you also have access to recordings later on. In addition to that, when you have doubts during your preparation, you can solve them easily by one-to-one mentorship, also included in the resolution batches. And to test your learning, you can always get prelims and mains test series also included in the resolution batches. And these batches are available separately for 27 as well as 2028. So please decide accordingly. Do not forget to apply the code ATS Live because it helps you fetch maximum discounts. Understood? So this is the question that I want you to solve. It is very similar to the question that appeared in 2013. In 2013, they asked you a question, which of the following are Kharif crops? So I've changed this question to suit our today's discussion. Which one of the above four are Rabi crops in India? Please do let me know the correct answers in the comment section. And the ones who are waiting to download the notes, you can go to this particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live. Okay, so this is all from my side. Please have a very good day. We'll see each other again soon tomorrow at 9 p.m.